to Percilia, Emilia, Emilius, Cyril, Fitzroy, Percival.
Thank you very much,
Tess,
Mr. Noah Sorrento. The students are allowed 1 minute window. I forgot to say that at the beginning. And then after that, points will be deducted for going over time. And so Noah spoke for 10 minutes and 57 seconds, right in there. So he's spared of the penalty. All right? We now have the first speaker from the Orion Academy, and that is Miss Diamond Daniel.
Honorable Octavia Alfred, Minister of Education, honorable judges, Madam Moderator, members of the audience and the media, and my most capable opponents. Good morning and welcome. Of all the industries that support Dominica's economy, tourism is certainly the most visible. Everyone knows about the luxury resorts and the ones that are supposedly on their way. Everyone can see that several cruise ships dock in our ports and hundreds of visitors flood our streets and natural sites. To the layman, the tourism industry may appear to be so lucrative and shiny. I can see why my opponents would conclude it is currently the most valuable tool for economic growth and diversification in Dominica. But beware, not all that glitters is gold. My teammates and I stand before you to oppose this motion and to unveil the hidden vulnerabilities of this very flashy industry. We will prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that while the tourism industry is a tool, it is not the most valuable tool for economic development and diversification in Dominica, and it is not where we should focus our investment priorities. Allow me to first define a few key terms in the motion. According to a book on alternative tourism by Ramazan Aaron, the tourism industry refers to the units consisting of companies and organizations that offer services to the tourists and have common functions. The Oxford Dictionary defines economy as the state of a country or region in terms of the production and consumption of goods and services and the supply of money. Investopedia defines economic growth as the expansion of a country's economy over time, and it defines diversification as a risk management strategy which involves spreading investments across different assets. I will now expound on two major reasons why tourism is not the industry that is going to be Dominica's biggest catalyst toward economic growth. One, the tourism industry is too volatile and reliant on external factors that are out of our control. No matter how hard we try and how well we market our tourism products, global economic downturns, natural disasters, and pandemics can still knock this industry flat on its face. Analyzing the effects of Tropical Storm Erica and Hurricane Maria, a 2023 IMF report states that the number of tourist arrivals in Dominica declined by more than 20% on average after a natural disaster. And the negative impact persisted for months following the event. The same report stated, and I quote, during the pandemic, Dominica's tourism sector underperformed relative to most of its peers. The drop in tourist arrivals in Dominica was larger than most of their regional peers, and recovery has been slower. End of quote. According to statistics obtained from the Ministry of Tourism, stay-over tourism dropped by 84% during the heat of the COVID-19 pandemic. Madam Moderator, unfortunately, these are not isolated events. Because of our geographical location, Dominica is extremely susceptible to natural disasters. And scientists such as Dr. Natalie McDermott warn that global warming and other factors make it increasingly likely that the world will face another pandemic. Capable opponents, If we are trying to forge a sustainable path for economic growth, then why would we choose to put our trust in the most vulnerable, most unreliable industry in our economic arsenal? And judges, we have not even begun to discuss the impact of international and regional travel prices on this industry. A CNBC News report stated that in the last year, the consumer price index for airline tickets has shot up by 25%. And the same IMF report referred to earlier stated that on average, interregional flights cost 4.8 times more per nautical mile than international ones, making it cheaper in some countries to fly to Florida than to fly within the region. Capable opponents, these factors make it overwhelmingly clear that if we are to place too many of our eggs in the tourism baskets, that instead of growth, we are more likely to experience catastrophic economic setbacks. 2. Dominica's share of the Caribbean tourism market is small and competition is tight. According to tourismanalytics.com, the Caribbean is the most tourism-dependent region in the world. In 2022, over 2 million stayover visitors came to the region. However, Dominica's share of that number was only 0.003%. Our neighbors in the region have been developing their tourism products for decades. And the reality is that world-class hotels, luxury resorts, competitive rates, international airports, and yes, even adventure and ecotourism are already available in abundance in the region. In 2022, tourism accounted for 93% of total GDP in Antigua. In St. Lucia, 56%. In Grenada, 51%. But according to the Ministry of Finance, their portfolio review document for the 2022 to 2023 financial year, in Dominica, it was less than 2%. Capable opponents, the same shiny tourism industry, accounted for less than 2% of total GDP. Truly, not all that glitters is gold. Furthermore, honorable judges, there is very little room for diversification within our tourism products. We offer a very specific agro, adventure, and ecotourism product that, realistically speaking, only appeals to a small niche market. Don't get me wrong, I love the nature island. And I truly believe that our tourism product is breathtakingly beautiful. But this discussion is about numbers. And the reality is that this industry on its own generates nowhere near the amount of revenue it takes to propel economic growth. And it is so far from ever being able to do so. My team interviewed a technical officer in the Ministry of Tourism, and she acknowledged that while the tourism industry in Dominica is growing, it currently lacks the capacity to become Dominica's primary source of economic growth. She stated that the ministry is determined to consider the environmental, social, and cultural impacts of all tourism activities. This cautious approach is surely to be commended, because we would not want to destroy the same untouched natural island that we are promoting. However, Madam Moderator, it inevitably means that growth within this industry will occur in a controlled and measured manner. It also means that the tourism industry will not soon become the booming economic catalyst that my opponents claim. In conclusion, honorable judges, the tourism industry in Dominica is valuable. It contributes to economy and it deserves to be nurtured and sustained. But it is by no means the most valuable tool for economic growth and diversification in Dominica. Judges, our opposition to this motion has been firmly established by facts. But our argument is not over. Social engineer Jacques Fresco said, "It is not enough to criticize society without offering a workable alternative. So if not tourism, then what?" I invite you to listen intensely while my colleague delivers his arguments. He will discuss why the agriculture industry and the blue and green economy are the real MVPs in our quest for economic growth and diversification in Dominica. We stand at the crossroads of progress. To achieve our economic goals, we must explore sustainable alternatives that truly empower our nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Diamond. Diamond spoke for 9 minutes and 24 seconds. So we take the argument back now to the proposing team, and we call on the second speaker for the St. Mary's Academy, Mr. Jelani Shillingford.
Madam Moderator, esteemed judges, audience members, and my fellow debaters, good afternoon. My colleague presented to you the tremendous value of tourism to Dominica's economy, and in case you are still stuck in the past like Senator Hector John, who often speaks of the days when banana trucks used to line the street on their way to the port to deliver bananas en route to the United Kingdom, I urge you to live in the present, because those days of preferential treatment which made banana from our region king, and in so doing, agriculture, the mainstay of our economy, is no more. My colleague and I accept that agriculture is an important contributor to the economy, but we are resolute that it is through tourism that other sectors of the economy, such as agriculture and industry, will be boosted. In a February 2nd, 2020 article, Dominica sets aggressive tourism target of 200,000 visitors by 2025, which appeared on Dominica News Online. The Honorable Minister for Tourism, Dennis Charles, expressed that Dominica's tourism products will focus on the pillars: aquatourism, agritourism, health and wellness, adventure, and events and entertainment. A 2022 United Nations Development Program, UNDP, Tourism Diagnostic Report for Dominica states, the growth in nature-based tourism and outdoor recreation provides opportunities for Dominica's tourism pillars. My worthy opponents, the question is whether tourism is a tool that can bring us economic growth, and this report supports that it can if we diversify the products. Let us examine how a few of the identified pillars can work to our benefit. In his book, Tourism Security, Peter Tarlow notes that aquatourism is any form of tourism that involves water as a primary tourism motivator. A Future Market Insights Inc. article, Water Adventure Tourism Market Outlook from 2024 to 2034, estimates that the water adventure tourism market is worth US $216.8 billion in 2024 and is projected to grow to US $1.06 trillion in 2034. My worthy opponents, Dominica must position itself to have a piece of this pie. The Professional Association of Diving Instructors, PADI, rates Dominica as one of the top 10 diving destinations in the world. So, we must leverage that to our benefit. Yachties have always been welcomed in our waters, and the construction of a marina can add value to the product, guaranteeing foreign exchange to the economy. Dominica's tourism product can also be boosted by its abundant supply of fresh water. In addition to visits to our freshwater lakes, waterfalls, rivers, etc., we must focus on developing a factory to bottle our spring water for local consumption and export. My worthy opponents, while we accept that industries can stimulate economic growth, they will need tourist numbers to enable their success. A conversation with Joan Douglas, who works for 40 years, over 20 of these years as a production supervisor of the popular Bello factory, a now dead agro-processing establishment, revealed that as the establishment grew, it faced difficulties sourcing sufficient raw material locally and so imported from Latin America, securing a home market, and eventually it was crippled by its loss of a major overseas market for pepper products. My worthy opponents, do we still want to rely on an industry like this as our most valuable economic generator? Agritourism will boost our industries. Agritourism is defined by the United States Department of Agriculture as a form of commercial enterprise that links agricultural production or processing with tourism for the purpose of educating or entertaining the visitor while generating income. Those of you who have visited the chocolate factory at Point Baptiste in Kalipishi to view the production process, taste and purchase the products would understand the concept. We also have to, like Mrs. Daria Eugene, think out of the box. She gives tourists an authentic farm-to-table culinary experience. A look at her Facebook page will reveal agri-tourism's potential if one thinks out of the box. I will surmise that she will source the produce she does not have, which translates to money in the pocket of the suppliers. The testimonies of the experience will, of course, increase tourist participation and help with this business. My worthy opponents, Dominica's health and wellness and adventure pillars can be leveraged to attract tourists from all walks of life to the island to enjoy relatively clean air, relaxing nature at our eco-establishments, and tour companies can package hiking tours of varying levels of difficulty around the island. In the aforementioned UNDP report referenced earlier, the CEO and founder of Responsible Travel, Justin Francis, released that post-pandemic trends will see an increasing role for expert tour guides who can provide opportunities for tourists to gain experience about traditional crafts, cooking skills, and receive personalized and inclusive tours. There will be a focus on nature and small islands as people increasingly crave space and a slower pace. There, my worthy opponents, lies Dominica's opportunity for economic growth through the diversification of the tourism product. According to a World Bank report, in 2022, Dominica's population was 72,757. But is it still that number? Every day we have friends, family members, and acquaintances emigrating. Have you been to the market to see how the slow rate at which produce leaves vendors' tables? Have you been to the supermarkets to witness this produce sourced from local farmers wilting in the chills? Why is this the case? This is because we do not have the population to purchase and consume even the little we already have. My worthy opponents, we stand resolute that tourism is currently the most valuable tool for economic growth and diversification in Dominica. Increased visitor numbers to stimulate economic activity through tourism subsectors is the answer. Good afternoon.
Well, good almost afternoon to you too, Jelani. Jelani spoke for 6 minutes and 12 seconds. Our final speaker for this part of the debate will be from the Orion Academy. As the second speaker, please welcome Ejadi Maxwell.
Honorable Dr. Octavia Alfred, Minister of Education, Honorable Judges, Madam Moderator, members of the audience and media, and my capable opponents, a pleasant good morning to you all. At this critical point in our national development, choosing the wrong industry to become the linchpin in our plan for economic growth can set us back for decades to come. That is why my teammate and I absolutely cannot support the motion that the tourism industry is the most valuable tool to make Dominica's economy diversified. So we must look beyond this sector and explore alternative avenues for sustainable development and prosperity. And the answer lies within agriculture and the blue and green economy. But what exactly does this mean? The United Nations defines the green economy as a low-carbon, resource-efficient, and socially inclusive economy. The Oxford Dictionary defines the blue economy as an economic system or sector that seeks to conserve marine and freshwater environments while using them in a sustainable way to produce energy and food. And it defines agriculture as the science or practice of farming including cultivation of the soil for the growing of crops and the rearing of animals to provide food, wool, and other products. My colleague has articulately expounded on two main areas that prove that the tourism industry cannot be relied on to be the main catalyst of economic growth in Dominica. I will now explain how agriculture far surpasses tourism as a tool for economic growth and diversification in these very areas. Firstly, the agricultural industry is much less volatile and much more resilient. Madam Moderator, my capable opponents seem to have short memory as they have forgotten the tourism industry left us high and dry during the COVID-19 pandemic. Vendors and tour guides became unemployed, hotels became ghost towns, and many even had to lay off staff. Statistics obtained from the Ministry of Tourism shows that during the pandemic, stay-over tourism dropped by 84%, as my colleague mentioned, and cruise ship tourism dropped by 78%. But what about agriculture? Did she abandon us? On the contrary, according to statistics obtained from the reputable data analysis site Statistica, this resilient industry actually grew through the pandemic from an 11.9% contribution to Dominica's GDP in 2019 to a 15.1% contribution in 2020 and a 16.9% contribution in 2021. You see, capable opponents, the simple but profound fact is that people always need food. And the Ministry of Agriculture and the Blue and Green Economy has been working along with farmers and other stakeholders to make agriculture even more resilient in Dominica. My team interviewed a technical officer in the Ministry of Agriculture who stated that the ministry has been focused on training farmers in sustainable practices in harmony with our green economy principles that work with Dominica's mountainous terrain and do not strip the soil of its nutrients or make it overly susceptible to erosion and natural disasters. So while natural disasters obviously have an effect on agriculture, focusing on certain types of resilient tree crops and on root crops such as yams, sweet potatoes, white potatoes, and dasheen, all of which are beneath the soil, actually helps to minimize losses during a disaster. Madam Moderator, agriculture may not be flashy, but it is certainly reliable and resilient. Secondly, we have much less competition and much more of a competitive advantage in the agricultural market than we do in the tourism market. As my teammate explained, the Caribbean is one of the most tourism-dependent regions in the world. The competition for tourism is tight, and that is not to say that Dominica will not get its share. But realistically speaking, our share of the market will always be small. Conversely, the demand for our agricultural products is very high. According to the International Trade Council, the annual export volume of root crops from Dominica in 2022 was valued at approximately $200,000 US. In addition, Dominica is renowned for its production of high-quality essential oils, particularly bay oil. The annual export volume of essential oils was valued at approximately $10 million US. Our blue economy is booming too. The annual export volume of fish and seafood was approximately 1,000 metric tons, with a value of around $5 million US. The technical officer from the Ministry of Agriculture explained that Dominica has many competitive advantages in the agricultural market. Dominica is one of the youngest islands in the region, geologically speaking, and this is one of the reasons why our soil is comparatively richer and more fertile. We also have many rivers and water sources that can be used to provide sustainable irrigation. Judges, the true potential of our agriculture is still largely untouched, and yet in the 2023 budget address, Honorable Dr. Irvin McIntyre, Minister of Finance, stated, and I quote, "Presently, agriculture contributes $274 million to Dominica's GDP. Our goal is to develop a resilient agriculture and fishery sector that becomes the leading contributor to economic growth. End of quote. Capable opponents, even the Minister of Finance and the government recognize that agriculture, not tourism, has the greatest potential to propel economic growth and development in Dominica. Judges, we rest our case. The wise choice is overwhelmingly obvious. Agriculture is the industry that holds the most value for the Dominican economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ajadi. Ajadi spoke for 7 minutes and 4 seconds. So all the students spoke well within their time. It is now time for the students to plan their rebuttal and for Serendo and Miss Diamond Daniel. And so, like I say, it's hard. It's hard for me. We have to now be quiet for 5 whole minutes while they plan their rebuttals. Yeah, I'm still talking. So, Bijou, if I could have 5 minutes on the clock now, please. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your quiet during those 5 minutes while the students planned their rebuttal. And now on to my favorite part of any debates competition. This is where serious business happens. And so the students, the first speakers from the proposing and opposing side will have 5 minutes each to give their rebuttal. So the proposing team is represented by Mr. Noah Surrender. I call him forward to give his rebuttal.
Madam Moderator, esteemed judges, audience members, my fellow debaters, good afternoon once again. My worthy opponents have argued that the reliance of tourism in Dominica can lead to instability if something like the pandemic or other natural disasters were to happen again. While the tourism industry was susceptible to the COVID-19 pandemic, it was incredibly resilient and quick to bounce back, as evidenced by the fact that in 2023, only 2 years since the COVID-19 pandemic's most apparent effects on our country, Dominica reached its all-time high visitor count within the last decade, according to the report provided to us by the Discover Dominica Authority. It was also very close to matching its all-time high stay-over visitor count of 89,626 visitors, according to the aforementioned ECCB report. We are now on track to surpassing that all-time high this year, further proving the industry's quickness to bounce back. However, by the COVID-19 pandemic in some way, but more importantly, just how common is a pandemic like COVID-19? I ask those living in Dominica now, and those who have been living in Dominica for over 50 years now, how many times they've seen something like the COVID-19 pandemic arise. Furthermore, I am certain I know your answers to that question, but furthermore, my worthy opponents did not hesitate to state tourism's shortcomings when it came to disasters like Maria. I'm touching on this because not only are hurricanes and storms a far more common occurrence on our island than pandemics, they are also extremely destructive, and the sectors that often pay the most are the ones that my worthy opponents have argued for, like the agricultural sector. When discussing the effects of hurricanes and natural disasters on our country's agricultural sector on their website, United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization noted that when impacted by hazards, the agricultural sector's vulnerabilities are amplified, resulting in significant damage, loss, and lengthy recovery periods, as expressed in the consistently declining performance of the sector over time. My worthy opponents specifically note the lengthy recovery time. Whilst the agriculture sector's recovery time after hurricanes and storms is long, and whilst the sector is still feeling the effects of Hurricane Maria today, the tourism industry reached its all-time high stay-over visitor count in 2019, a mere 2 years after Hurricane Maria, further proving this sector's resilience. And not only this, my worthy opponents, but after the onslaught of Maria, there was volunteerism, which was tourists coming to the island to help restore it. In this way, tourism provided much needed revenue to the island in the time when it needed it most. I thank you.
So no one knew this, but you may not have, because I made an error. It's 3 minutes and not 5. No one knew this. It's okay. And spoke for 3 minutes and 8 seconds. Thank you, Noah. So I now invite the first speaker from the opposing team, Diamond Daniel, to give her rebuttal. She will have 3 minutes. Diamond?
Good afternoon to all once again. Honorable judges, no sensible craftsman taxman would identify his most unsteady, most unreliable tool as his most valuable one. And yet, this is what my capable opponents have done today when they suggest that Dominica should look to the highly vulnerable and unpredictable tourism industry as its key industry for economic growth and diversification. According to my opponents, tourism contributes 12.2% to total GDP. However, data obtained from Dominica's very own Ministry of Finance debt portfolio for the financial year 2022 to 2023 states that tourism contributes less than 2%. Shouldn't we trust our own ministry figures compared to those of other sources? My opponents have also stated that tourism exports are marginally higher than exports of goods. Honorable judges, just imagine that agriculture is not far behind, and it is known that the tourism budget is much larger than of agriculture. Imagine what would happen if the same amount was invested in agriculture, or even half the amount. Finally, my capable opponent said that the tourism industry has the potential to be the greatest contributor to our economic growth. But honorable judges, I would like to know how they measure potential, because millions of dollars in investments have already been poured into this sector, arguably more than any other in Dominica. And it is still not yet the biggest contributor to our national GDP. It is not even a close second. But do you know what has been quietly but steadily rising to the top? Agriculture. May I also add that my opponent stated that there is ongoing infrastructure developments, such as the building of Tranquility Beach Resorts and the expansion of Secret Bay. But who are we going to get to fill up these resorts when international and regional travel prices are overwhelmingly high? Honorable judges, the glaring vulnerabilities within the tourism industry, as well as the obviously surpassing value of the agriculture industry, make it overwhelmingly clear that we are right to stand firm in our opposition to the motion. The tourism industry cannot be considered Dominica's most valuable tool for economic growth and diversification. Thank you.
Diamond spoke for 2 minutes and 51 seconds. Thank you, Diamond. All right. I invite the judges to leave the room at this time with Mrs. Daisy Williams, who will escort them to that special place with panel walls and all that. So I invite you to follow Daisy as you retire to deliberate. This has certainly been an exciting debate competition. This finals has been wonderful. I have thoroughly enjoyed myself. And so I congratulate both teams on excellent research. They have a lot of statistics, and we'll talk about that in a little while, and excellent delivery as well. So I am very proud of both schools. I know the coaches, and so I congratulate the both of them for the work that they have been doing with our debaters. I just want to recognize the sponsors before we move into the Memorable Orators Award. Give the judges time to go where they're going. So our sponsors for this competition, which started in January, have been Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited, Lindomat, Fine Foods Inc., KFC, National Cooperative Credit Union, Insurance Company of the West Indies, Domlec, Western Illinois University, Fortune Hotel, Q95 FM Radio, DBS Radio, Dominica News Online, Freeman Consulting Group, LLC, Dr. Joshua Lloyd and Mrs. Carencia Joseph Lloyd, Vibian TV, Jolly's Pharmacy, HHV Whitchurch and Company Limited, Jungle Bay Dominica, Lovely Things, Finance Focus, The Watering Can, Viv Eye Care, UWI Global Campus, Crazy Coconuts, Meraki Designs, Yakima Coffee, Fancy Baron Commodore, Elaine Rene Buncombe, Dr. Peltier, and Jordan Jerome Photography. The entire series, the entire inter-secondary schools debate competition has been a collaboration of the Ministry of Education, Human Resource Planning, Vocational Training and National Excellence, the Dominica State College Literary and Debating Society, and Exquisite Events and Rentals. And of course, our chief coordinator has been Miss Trudy Christian. Put your hands together for Miss Trudy Christian, who was an excellent debater in her own day when she was a student at Convent High School. All right. So throughout the entire competition for 2024, the committee has been observing the student performances, and of course, in every round, there have been students who have been judged the best speaker within those rounds. And so the Memorable Orator Award is an award and presentation for those students who have consistently done very well in terms of their performance as orators in this competition. I believe there's a lovely video for you that you are seeing on your screen as I talk. There's no sound, so should I keep talking?
Where have all those who once held these positions gone? Again, the government is responsible for ensuring that the teachers do not feel the desperate need to flee the country. My worthy opponents, our economic and national development is on the line, and the very fabric of our country is threatened by brain drain. Soon, my worthy opponents, we will be left with an aging, unqualified, unskilled population unable to contribute to national development. My worthy opponents, stress leading to eventual burnout is another possible consequence of preparing to write exams in 15 or 47 subjects. Consider, my worthy opponents, how much work students must do to ace 15 or 27 subjects. These students will be constantly preoccupied with work, day and night, bringing about stress and possibly burnout. According to the Canadian Red Cross Association, stress has a psychological impact that can manifest as irritability or aggression, a feeling of loss of control, insomnia, fatigue or exhaustion, sadness or tears, concentration or memory problems, or more.
The second problem, honorable judges, is that public institutions and organizations in Dominica have the unfortunate reputation of being blatantly biased. So even after they learn about the existence of these support organizations, many of the young people we spoke to were not encouraged because they were inclined to believe that funding approval would be based not on the merits of their business idea, but on the age-old Dominican principle: who know you and who you know. Madam Moderator, let's get one thing straight. Cannibals history is not innocent, and we do well to remember that when discussing what it has become. The roots of Cannibal are steeped in the idea of reckless abandon of social norms. My team interviewed Mr. Greg Rabbits, a former cultural officer and cultural expert, and confirmed that cannibals of the past in Dominica always included some sexually suggestive costumes. Sadly, these traditional costumes are underappreciated and foreign to many. Some try to justify this by saying that we can't stay in the past forever, and that you must expect things like cannibal to go through periods of evolution. However, I must point out that changes should not override and slowly wipe out our traditional roots. In the second article, the Honorable Roosevelt Scared to support it was respond to the situation, saying,
The same way you can criticize your pain is the same way you can post when you graduate and you're in your high heels and all this pain. You have known you should post the same thing. I feel the need to stress on the fact that the students' fees being paid is part of a contract for government to assist students. The students are within their own rights to criticize the government, but not upholding their end of the bargain, and they do not have to praise them for doing what they are contractually required to do. The same is true with the police and the public. If the first order of business is to punish rather than to offer grace, the civilians will hate the police more than they already do, thus widening the gap that already exists between the two. As such, the implementation of gun amnesties gives an avenue for grace. The police are in fact saying, through amnesties, I am trusting you to bring it in. And by bringing it in, the civilians are demonstrating the trust in the police as well. To help, such as therapy, which is in their best interests, and providing education to members of society by teaching them to detect potential sexual predators among them. This is in our best interest. Madam Moderator, judges, members of the audience, I implore you, think about the consequences of establishing a sex registry in your people. Ask yourself, are we doing to take such rights in our small dominant society? No, we should not.
Let's hear it from a memorable orator. I now invite Ms. Tamara Paul from Domlek to join me on stage, as well as Ms. Trudy Christian, who will assist her with handing out the awards for our memorable orators. So our first memorable orator to be recognized is Mr. Noah Sarando, St. Mary's High. Congratulations, Noah. Our next memorable orator to be recognized, Miss Diamond Danielle Orion. Congratulations, Diamond. Our next memorable orator to be recognized is Ms. Therese LeBlanc. Congratulations, Therese. And our final memorable orator to be recognized is Ms. Elianette Jolie Domingo. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Elianette. Thank you very much to Ms. Tamara Paul of Domlek for the presentations of the awards for the memorable orators of our season, Mr. Noah Sorrento, Ms. Diamond Daniel, Ms. Therese LeBlanc, and Ms. Elianette Jolie. Seeing these students in action over the past few months has really been something. They are really, really extraordinary, and I congratulate them all. At this time, while the judges are still deliberating, I have some questions I'd like to engage you in a discussion as we wait for the results, unless there's something I'm missing again. You want all 4 children together? Oh, yeah, oh yes. You may go back to meet your peers and we'll call you when it's time for the results. So as I listened to the debate, I took some notes, and one of the things that I found astounding, and wonderfully so, was the statistics and the varying statistics. One side is giving us these statistics and the other side is giving us that statistics. So some of the things I took down from the proposing side, they mentioned that 12.2% of our GDP was contributed, well, tourism was a contribution of 12.2% of our GDP, and that represented a 22% increase overall for tourism. And they also mentioned that the average stay-over tourist spends over 3,000 EC dollars during their stay, and they mentioned the goal of the 500,000 by 2030. The opposing side mentioned a 20% decline after the natural disaster, which was Hurricane Maria. And they mentioned that there has been a 25% increase in regional travel, making regional travel very expensive, and that Dominica's share in the already tight tourism market in the Caribbean was 0.003%. From that amazing, we are just good of a 12.2% increase, but that still puts us at 0.003% overall, and it's representing less than 2% of the regional GDP tourism. So I was very impressed with these statistics, and so I want to talk a little bit about that. I am hopeful that there's a roving mic somewhere, and there's a student who has that roving mic, and there are prizes for people who are participating with me. Okay. So there's snack. We're working for food. There's snack. All right. So I've spoken about some of those statistics, and I want to ask the members of the audience, what do you think these statistics mean? I mean, whichever one you choose to follow or decide that is the statistics for you, what do you think that these statistics mean for Dominica? Right? The statistics about the regional travel being expensive, that it's only 0.003% of our economy after all, that increased by 22%. What do these things mean for Dominica? Anyone? Rover, could you move around, please? Anyone wants to talk about the statistics and what shocked you about the statistics or anything concerning the statistics? We're on national radio and television and everything, and most of you in this room are debaters for your schools. So, nothing shocked you about the statistics at all? And what it means for Dominica? A student from Convent High School wants to start us off.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon. Go ahead.
The statistic in which SME proposed that tourism increased around 22%.
Yeah, 20% increase, yes.
Yes, in our GDP. Orion stated that it was not a good statistic, but I feel like a 20% increase is very good. And while everyone else was kind of surprised as to, how is it so low, I just think that means that we're coming on the up, we're moving up, and the 22% increase is a good start. You know, for such a small country like Poland, and we don't have as much to work with as other countries in the region do. So 22% is a great place to start. And I just feel like we should appreciate that more.
Okay, thank you. Anybody want to agree or disagree, as the case may be? Anyone? I see somebody who has a semi-hand. I'm not sure what that is. No? All right, I'll move on to the next. When I run out of questions, I'll just stand there and start dancing the jig because the judges are not back yet. All right. The finance minister spoke, well, we heard from one of the students that the finance minister spoke of a goal for 500,000 tourists by 2030. Do we believe that that is too ambitious? Why or why not? 500,000 tourists by 2030. Do we think that that is doable? Or do we think, given the current state of affairs, that that is a little too ambitious? What do we think? Anyone? Teachers? People in the front? This is a tough crowd for me. Oh, we do have someone who wants to say something. Do you think that it's ambitious or do you think we can do this?
To be honest, I don't think that's too ambitious. I think like when we keep developing as a country, and we sometimes we try to expand along with the rest of the world, I think we can reach that.
Very good, thank you. Anybody agrees or disagrees? I'm hearing discussion about also the students in the back who would like to say something. Is 500,000 ambitious? Good afternoon.
I'd like to say that I don't think that 500,000 is particularly ambitious. If we market ourselves at a higher level, I think that would be easily attainable.
Okay, very good. There was another student behind her. There was another student behind her, yes.
Hi.
Hello.
I believe it is quite ambitious, not because I don't think people want to come to Dominica, but I think our resources and simply getting to Dominica is just not at the place we would like it to be. So I think right now it is quite ambitious.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? 500,000, you think we can do it?
Good morning, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I don't think they would give that sum if they didn't think it was capable of achieving. So if it is something they think that they can do, I don't think they would have written it down for the whole of Dominica to see. So I don't think they would set themselves up for failure. So if they can give that large of a sum, I think they should maybe go higher. Because if we really put it into practice, really take it into consideration, like we say, tourism is everybody's business. If we take it seriously as we should, I believe we should maybe go to higher. You never know.
All right. There was a gentleman right on the other side who wanted to say something.
Good afternoon. I would like to say that I don't really think that it is ambitious, but at the rate we go in, the rivers are our source of tourism, and tourism is like our source of income at the moment. And due to climate change, our rivers are currently drying up. So we won't really have much more tourism to reach the limit that we're trying to go for.
All right. There was a gentleman over there, young lady, who had his hand up earlier. I'm not sure if he still has something to say. Would you still want to make a contribution? Yes, he did. Okay.
They said that 1/3 came from tourism, and I think that makes the country more dependent on tourism, and that we should be independent of ourselves and stuff that comes from our island only, not from external sources.
Okay. And there was someone from St. Mary's? Okay.
I personally believe the 500,000 is a very tangible goal because, as mentioned by my debater here, the developments such as the international airport and the hotels and the cable cars. I believe that those will bring a lot of tourism to the country, and thus will help us reach the 500,000 very easily.
Thank you. My next question is, how does Dominica's vulnerability in terms of climate change impact the tourism sector? So we heard about vulnerability, particularly from the opposing side. So how does Dominica's vulnerability in terms of climate change impact the tourism sector? Of course, teachers are allowed. I'm surprised I was waiting for Miss from St. Joe to say something already, and I haven't heard anything yet.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
So from the geographical point of view, Dominica is extremely prone to disasters, all disasters in fact. Volcanic eruptions, we host 9 centers in the Caribbean. We know that we are the bullseye for hurricanes, landslides, earthquakes, and tsunamis are like the next thing. So we are definitely vulnerable. Therefore, we definitely have to find alternative sources for income as it refers to our development. I mean, we can actually use our natural, features to market. I think there's actually disaster tourism, which is something that we can explore. So following Hurricane Maria, quite a few people came on vol tourism. So they came to assist. So that was actually a way of earning money while getting assistance. But we can actually market more of our vulnerability to our advantage, that we can be a classroom for teaching of disasters and disaster management, because we actually have everything here. It's literally to get, so we can target universities and high schools across the world to visit Dominica to actually look at these different things that we fortunately and unfortunately are blessed with. So that's one of the things that we should pursue.
Very good, thank you. Anybody else wants to comment on Dominica's vulnerability in terms of climate change and the impact that has on the tourism sector?
As we know, Dominica relies a lot on its natural features when it comes to tourism. Most of the attractions in Dominica are its natural features, the rivers, the waterfalls, the oceans, and so climate change greatly affects those features and can really hinder us when it comes to tourism if it ends up affecting it too much. Which is why I think we should use more on what we produce, our production, and different sectors, and not bank on tourism, and it could end up being greatly affected and greatly detrimental.
Very good. There's someone in the back who would like to make a contribution to talk about Dominica's vulnerability in terms of climate change and the impact of that on tourism.
I believe there's a positive and negative to every side. So we cannot really prevent natural disasters, and we cannot prevent things happening to us. But we can change our view on it. We can change what we do with what we have. So let's say tourist was under the tree in Dallas. That was for a natural disaster. But we chose to use that for betterment, that for a negative pursuit. So it has a negative side and a positive side. Because to be honest, some people come to Dominica for authenticity. Some people come to us to see certain things. Like, let's be honest. Some people will know about us because of Maria. Maria brought a lot of awareness to Dominica. Hurricane Dave brought a lot of awareness to Dominica, and the things that happen to us negatively can impact us. So it's always see and always just to see certain things that happen to us.
All right. There's a question, a contribution in the front.
I believe that in terms of climate change, Dominica is very prone to climate change, and the tourism industry in Dominica can be very affected by climate change, predominantly hurricanes, I believe. However, I do not believe that this is necessarily a very strong contributing factor into tourism industry from Dominica. As it's seen in other countries that are very affected by hurricanes, such as Florida, they're able to bounce back very readily and bring back tourism numbers and even larger scales than before. And aside from hurricanes, for example, there was this island of Tuvalu, and they're being affected by the rising ocean levels and by climate change. But they're combating this with doing online and ecotourism. So I believe even though that climate change may affect the tourism industry a lot in Dominica, it doesn't affect it that much, and there are several steps that we can take to negate the effects.
All right. My next question is, so we heard that St. Mary's talked about indirect impacts, positive indirect impacts of tourism on the economy. Yes? So my question is, what are some of those valuable indirect impacts of tourism on the economy? What are some of the valuable indirect impacts of tourism on the economy? Anyone? It keeps falling. Nobody has anything to say about the valuable indirect impacts of tourism? Somebody just said earlier that tourism is everybody's business. No? The judge is not ready yet, so I don't know what you want to do with me. I'll dance the jig for you. All right, my next question is, what are some specific areas of tourism that Dominica can pay attention to and extra? Somebody did have something to say for the indirect impacts. Okay.
Hello again. As a geography student whose SPA is focusing on tourism, especially in the Roto area, I focus on cruise tourism. When we have our cruise ship berth, and tourists come in a lot during the tourist season and bring business to a lot of businesses on the bayfront area. And these businesses, such as Fresh Market or Le Petit Paris or Sweet Novelties, they sponsor a lot of events or a lot of other smaller businesses in Dominica. And without the business of the tourists coming in, they would have nothing to sponsor. So by having cruise tourism, we have a kind of support for these businesses, and these businesses support other businesses. So tourism is everyone's business.
All right. Thank you. What are some specific areas of, oh my, I didn't see you there. Go right ahead, my dear.
Thank you. Good afternoon. One of the indirect outcomes I was wondering about is that I live in Ghana, so it's naturally a place where a lot of tourists come for fresh of the day, boiling lake, you get the list. One thing that I guess that impacts is that because of the area I live in, like how tourism based it is, someone like me that kind of went into the tourism business because my mother used to work by the fresh of the lake. So because I used to help her a lot, I got to meet people from different cultures and being able to talk with people and get people skills. So that is something that the youth of the country could get, as like a lot of tourists come and like they have different cultures, you can learn from the cultures and be able to get the people skills that can definitely help you in your life and all the jobs, especially as most of the youth are going to go overseas. They would definitely be able to get the jobs and be able to really do something.
Thank you. There's another student who has his hand up.
Orion said that our agricultural potential is hardly untouched. which can make the island more resilient and go against hurricanes like Hurricane Maria. Like tourism, if tourists come and a natural disaster happens, this can spread word about our island that it is bad and you can't live in it. And so that's why one of the specific areas that we can focus on is safety, like making the island more resilient with our agricultural potential that was hardly untouched, safety measures, and more stuff like that. And that's why safety is one of the main factors that we should be focusing on right now.
All right, thank you. So the question is, what are some specific areas of tourism that Dominica can pay attention to and expand on? What are some specific areas of tourism that Dominica can pay attention to and expand on? St. Mary's told us quite a bit of those.
I think an area that we can focus on and expand on is mostly the development of facilities that will aid in tourism, like the international airport. It's been spoken about for years, and yet getting any progress. Also more hotels, more places to stay, more attractions. As I said before, most of our attractions are naturally based, but we can also build certain attractions that can help us restore it.
Very good. All right. And I've seen that the judges are back, so I give them space to come back. Let's clap for the judges. And there is a student who would like to make a contribution on the last question, Rover. The person with my roving mic. The student with my roving mic. A student from Convent would like to make a contribution. Well, it wasn't that student, so we'll take it after. But go ahead right now. So there's still one more person. But go ahead.
I think an area that we should focus on is making more of our younger people more into the tourism and more into Dominica so that we can build up more of a proper society for Dominica so that more people will focus on like the freshwater lakes, for example, and the water lakes and things like that.
Thank you. So we'll take one more comment, and that's from Ms. Williams.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So Orion mentioned that a very lucrative industry to promote tourism in Dominica is agriculture. And I think many of us would like to believe that, but in the 1990s, Dominica had an ongoing battle regarding bananas and agriculture, regarding the banana industry. And we had this rich, fertile soil, and everything they mentioned that we could take opportunity of, and it didn't matter because the large businesses like Chiquita and Dole, who
monopolize?
Yes, monopolize the banana industry, basically drew us out. And bananas were our cash crop at the time, and now it has made our industry rely on tourism and other elements of GDP to use that. So I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you very much. All right. So the judges have returned. I do note that there is a prize for the most improved school. Do you want to do it? You want to do it during the prize giving? Okay. All right. So it is now time for us to hear the judges' critique. I have not received the results. Is that the chair is doing it, so am I going to do that? Can I get the results? But anyway, so we'll have the chief judge report, and then I will give the results. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mrs. Nicole Lavin.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me recognize the Minister for Education, Honorable Alfred. I want to recognize the officer in charge of the Dominica State College, Mr. Christian. Our sponsors for the debates over the weeks, all the students, the teachers, well-wishers who are here today, Madam Moderator. So I'm sure we can all agree it was a very, very tough competition and a very tough debate, right? All right, and I know some of us maybe have in our head who had the edge or not, but at the end of the day, there is a winner, and we hope that we will all be happy for the winner and also for the team that was not successful, but everyone did very well. Everyone did very well, and we hope that everyone can be satisfied that great effort was made. So the judges' comments overall, we all agreed that both teams were very well researched. We heard quotations from technical officers in various ministries. We had credible authorities, quotes and statistics from credible authorities, international as well as local authorities. Another point that we thought both teams excelled in was their ability to touch on the key terms in the statement. So they were able to speak to the value of the tourism industry. So they spoke about the value, they spoke about growth, they spoke about diversification. Where we felt they could have expounded a bit more is to speak about the current aspect. So it says the tourism industry is currently the most valuable tool. A lot of the statistics were from the past. So we were looking for some more recent statistics that would touch on the current aspect of the statement. Their rebuttals overall were, well, we as the judges, we have been following the debates over the few weeks, and we felt the rebuttals, the speakers improved in their rebuttals. Overall, they were good. However, they were still a little overly scripted. Traditionally, rebuttals are supposed to be more spontaneous. So in future, we hope that the rebuttals will be a little more spontaneous and off the cuff. One area we want to caution about is that we want to ask the teams to be careful not to give information that contradicts the previous point, because that means you're arguing against your team member or you're arguing against yourself, your own self. So that's a point that we picked up during this debate. So be careful not to give information or points that contradicts previous points made. Overall, the deliveries were excellent. We had speakers that were the diction was excellent, very confident, very poised, a lot of audience, eye contact. So we want to applaud the speakers for that confidence and for those great deliveries. These are our general comments. So like I said, the competition is very tight. And I, on behalf of the judges, want to congratulate all 4 debaters. You did an excellent job, and we know that your future is bright and you have far to go in life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Laville, and the other 2 judges, Mr. Edwards and Ms. Seja. Thank you very much. And so it's now time for the results. So I invite the debaters to come forward and return to their positions. Noah and Jelani, Diamond and Adani. Hey, Daddy. We have 2 awards, one for Best Speaker and one for Best Rebuttal. So I'll name those now. The prize giving will take place a little later, but I'll name those now. So the Best Speaker, according to the judges, is Mr. Noah Surrender. second award is for the best rebuttal, and the best rebuttal is by Diamond Daniel. So that makes things a little tight. Indeed. All right. So I'm going to call the scores per team. For the proposing team from the St. Mary's Academy, Noah Sorrento and Jelani Shillingford, 671 points. 671 points. For the opposing team, by Orion Academy, Diamond Daniel and Ejadi Maxwell, 691. Which makes the Orion Academy champion for the Inter-Secondary School Debate Competition 2024. My justice is yes. Ladies and gentlemen, my job is done here. I now pass back to the chair, Ms. Trudy Christian. Clap for Trudy. No, clap for the new champions of the Inter-Secondary School Debating Competition 2024. The Orion Academy, and of course the runners-up, the St. Mary's Academy. Exceptional job to you all. The Orion Academy, of course, last year, the title eluded you, but this year you came back and captured. Congratulations to you. So now it is time for us to give out some prizes. The nice part, right? The prizes, and everybody gets prizes at the Inter-Secondary Schools Debating Competition. That's why we have so many sponsors. That's why I beg so much. So we will start, not with the debaters here today, but with the most improved school. I really wanted to reward the Isaiah Thomas Secondary School for their extreme determination in this debate season and for progressing all the way to the semifinals. The most improved school with a prize, a cash prize, sponsored by Dr. Eilive Peltier, the Isaiah Thomas Secondary School. And we know they'll be fighting hard next year to get to the finals. The prize for the best rebuttal, this prize was awarded to Diamond Daniel of the Orion Academy. The cash prize is sponsored by Francine Baron Commodore. Congratulations, Diamond, best rebuttal at the finals. The coveted Best Speaker Award today went to Noah Sorrento of the St. Mary's Academy. He receives a cash prize sponsored by Dr. Eilive Peltier. Congratulations, Noah. And you all would notice both the best rebuttal and the best speaker are memorable orators as well of this year's debate season. So congratulations. The runners-up, the St. Mary's Academy, Noah Sorrento and Jelani Shillingford. These young men will be receiving cash prizes, gift certificates, compliments, Jungle Bay, Dominica, and gifts from Meraki Design. So I call on, Noah is already there, Mr. Jelani Shillingford, to receive the prizes. Noah, 1 second, there's another one. For being the runners-up, close runners-up in the finals of the Inter-Secondary Schools Debating Competition, the St. Mary's Academy. Another round of applause for them, please. winners of the finals today, the Orion Academy, Ms. Diamond Daniel and Mr. Ejadi Jazz Maxwell. They are being awarded the grand prize, which is a trip for fun to St. Lucia, all expenses paid, with a stay at Coco Palm Resort. A prize valued at $5,000. The contributors to that prize, the Insurance Company of the West Indies, National Cooperative Credit Union, 1 second, Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited. I'd like to call on the representative from the NCCU to assist with the handover of the prize, the trophies to the winners. And make sure the sponsor rep gets the photo with the winners. Also, the winners receive tokens, compliments, Meraki designs. And the winners also receive a gift basket that was not given to them. I apologize. So come back, winners. We're not through rewarding you. The big gift baskets, the big ones. Those are for the winners. Congratulations to the Orion Academy, Diamond Daniel and Ejadi Maxwell. And of course, I recognize as the long-standing coach of the Literary and Debating Society debate team of the Dominica State College, that the coaches put in a lot of effort, maybe even sometimes more effort than the debaters themselves. And the coaches take this competition very seriously. The work that they have done must be recognized. At each round, we recognize the coaches. Today, we recognize the coach from the school that is the runner-up, the St. Mary's Academy, the coach, Ms. Sharon Philogen. I call on her to receive a prize sponsored by Lovely Things, as well as a small gift basket, the small one, so I have to give it. So prize sponsored by Lovely Things, gift certificate sponsored by Lindomat, and of course, a little basket to add, to top it off. Congratulations, Ms. Philogen, for your hard work with Team SMA. To the coach from the Orion Academy today, the winning school, this is Abigail Woodman. I'd call on you now. I'd like to call on you now. Standing ovation from the Orion Academy. That is amazing. Mrs. Woodman receives a prize from Lovely Things, gift certificate from Lindomat, and of course her gift basket. Mrs. Woodman, congratulations and thank you for your exceptional work with the Orion team. Everybody has to get something. Judges, it's your turn. You judges, thank you for taking the time off, for coming to this debate and lending your expertise in adjudicating this debate. Your prizes are sponsored. Your prizes are sponsored by Jolly's Pharmacy and for the moderator as well. So I'd like to call on the Chief Judge, Mrs. Nicole Laville, to accept the judges' prize from Jolly's Pharmacy. The gift basket almost went to you, Mrs. Laville, but I had to stop them. Mr. David Edwards, judging today's debate. Round of applause for the judges, please. Round of applause for the judges. Token of our appreciation, sponsored by Jolly's Pharmacy. And Ms. Indira Seja, the third judge. And of course, the lovely moderator for today's debate, Dr. Kimoni Joseph, also receives a token compliments Jolly's Pharmacy. Thank you so much, Dr. Joseph, for all you have done for this debate series. Everybody gets awarded. The logistics committee, who have done tireless work in assisting me in putting out this product, the intersecondary schools debating competition, they will also receive a prize. That's what the small gift baskets are for. Miss Carrie Anselm, who is not with us today, she was there for the semifinals. You would have seen her and round 2 and round 1. Mrs. Daisy Williams and Miss Alicia Jajak, I call you forward to receive a token of appreciation for your support in organizing the intersecondary schools debating competition. So Mrs. Williams couldn't give herself the prize, so the State College students will do so. Thank you so much, Logistics Committee, for your hard work. Last but not least, everybody must get something. The members of the DSC Literary and Debating Society who have shown up for every debate this round. Not everybody shows up for everyone, but these 3 ladies have shown up for everyone. The president of the DSC Literary and Debating Society, Bijou Desiree. The vice president, Annalisa Hunter. And Carla, you can also kind of give yourself the prize, so Mrs. Williams will assist. So thank you to the DSC Literary and Debating Society, and that concludes the prize giving aspect of today's finals. And now, Annalisa Hunter. Sorry, Annalisa, I didn't realize you were so far behind. The big one. We forgot the winners to take back to their school for 1 year, or possibly if they win next year for 2 years, who knows? The grand trophy of the intersecondary schools debate, passing on from the Aqua SDA last year, now to the Orion Academy, the winning trophy. Make sure you let the principal, Ms. Robinson, and make sure you make Mrs. Woodman raise that trophy, guys, Diamond and Johnny. I know you're taking the photo of it now, but make sure the principal gets to raise that trophy. Of course, once again, congratulations, Orion Academy. So that is the end of the prize giving aspect. I'd now like to call on the president. The moderator said, no, it's not. But after she says, no, it's not, president of DSC Literary and Debating Society, stand by.
No, it is not. I would like to recognize Delbert Paris, Senator Delbert Paris, who's been with us for the entire morning. I just want to recognize you and thank you for coming to the debates competition. I know that is not why I stopped the vote of thanks. We have a presentation that we would like to give, and so I invite Daisy Williams, who is on the committee, as well as Miss Leandra Lander. Miss Leandra Lander had to go, so Miss Williams will assist me in the presentation. We really want to recognize Miss Trudy Christian for the work that she has done in reviving debates in secondary schools in Dominica. After the Kiwanians stopped doing the competition, there was a serious lull and a big gap. And so I congratulate Ms. Christian. Ms. Christian, I know the amount of work that you do in terms of the begging and in terms of the training and all the things that you do and leading your team. And we want you to know that that does not go unrecognized. Thank you so much, Ms. Christian.
Thank you so much.
Everybody gets something.
Everybody gets something. Thank you very much, Mrs. Williams. And now I invite the person designated to give the vote of thanks to come forward at this time and to do so. And that is Bijou Desiree.
Keep your eyes to your mercies. The man who forgets to be thankful has fallen asleep in life. Robert Louis Stevenson. As the intersecondary schools debate competition comes to an end, it is with immense gratitude and heartfelt appreciation that I stand before you today to deliver this vote of thanks. This event would not have been possible without the steadfast commitment of numerous individuals and organizations, and it is only fitting that we express our gratitude to each and every one of them. First and foremost, I would like to thank all the participating schools for their unwavering support and dedication to nurturing the talents of their students. Your commitment to education and fostering a culture of debate is truly commendable. We extend our gratitude to the coaches who have worked tirelessly behind the scenes, guiding and mentoring the debaters to reach their full potential. Your expertise, patience, and encouragement have been instrumental in shaping these young minds. To the debaters, we who have showcased their intellect, eloquence, and passion on this prestigious platform, we applaud your hard work, dedication, and sportsmanship throughout the competition. We express our sincere appreciation to the moderators and judges for their time, expertise, and impartiality in evaluating the debates. Your invaluable feedback and constructive criticism have contributed to the growth and development of all participants. A big thank you to the dynamic audience for your presence, support, and lively engagement during the debates. Your energy and encouragement have created a vibrant atmosphere. We cannot forget the parents who have stood by their children, providing love, encouragement, and unwavering support throughout their debate journey. Your belief in their abilities and sacrifices have not gone unnoticed. A very, very special thank you to our generous sponsors, whose support and contributions have been instrumental in making this event a reality. Your belief in the power of education and debate has not only enriched this competition, but has also inspired young minds to strive for excellence. Last, but certainly not least, a heartfelt thank you to Ms. Trudy Christian for her exceptional leadership, guidance, and vision in spearheading this debate competition. Your passion for debating and commitment to empowering young minds are truly inspiring. I would like to thank each and every one of you here today who has contributed in any way to the success of this event. Your collective efforts have made this intersecondary school debate competition a memorable and enriching experience for all. Let us continue to foster a culture of debates, critical thinking, and intellectual growth in our schools and communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Bijou. And that's all, folks, in the cartoon legacy words. That's it, we're done. But I'd like to ask you to please allow for the departure of the Honorable Minister, Mrs. Alfred, and also there are refreshments, debaters, coaches, sponsors, reps, debate officials. Make sure you get your refreshments, and then anybody else after that. Thank you so much, everybody, for your attention. The minister has departed, and it is the end. See you next year for the intersecondary schools debating competition.